Oh, good call. Hey, Stuart, we're live. You're going to need to get a drink.
Hey, Joe. Right, everyone, welcome. Thank you very much for coming along this evening, and thank you everybody for attending and participating in this weekend. It's been great so far, and there's still some more of it coming.
You could be standing up there.
We could, but we thought that might seem a bit, schoolboy. Anyway, we don't want to do that.
It's a bit Roman.
It's a nice tight space, and I'm sure it'll work really well. First, thank you everybody for participating in this weekend. I think it's worked really well. I hope everyone's had fun. There's a lot more fun to be had. And thank you for the team leaders. I think everybody put some great effort in. We had quite a broad selection of ringing today. I think Mark's going to tell us all about that. But it was great to see some bands that hadn't rung much, but had a go today. And I think we'll see more of them in the years to come. I'd really like to thank the DC ringers. We launched this. We launched this Trinity Shield idea last year as something to hopefully bring people together across the United States who hadn't rung together before. It's really an excuse for people to ring together and then think about striking. This is all a public performance we do. We ring and people outside hear what we do, and it's important that we improve at that, right? And that should be on our minds anyway. So, but it's good that we haven't taken it too seriously. This is mainly a social event, and that's why we're here. So thank you to the team leaders and the teams. It was absolutely great. And thank you to DC Ringers that helped organise. Rob Bannister, who's somewhere here. Rob, thank you. I would not have worked without Rob. He has absolutely anchored the efforts here in DC. Fantastic, thank you. Others, Rob Gibson and Quilla, have been in touch with me and kept this together. Sue, who's organised all the food this afternoon. Fantastic job. And yes! Thank you. I think we've stayed.
Katie.
Stood well above what we had. We attempted last year a YouTube feed that had mixed results. We've taken this up, so we may be employing your next year, wherever it may be next year.
You contract through me though, Stuart.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm contracting you. And then finally, I'd like to thank Mark Regan, our judge, who you'll hear plenty from in a minute. Mark is a very well-known and a very accomplished ringer in the UK. He's the tower captain at Worcester Cathedral. Those of you who don't already know him, you should know him, and I encourage you to come and speak to him and hear his opinions on UK ringing, etc. One of Mark's many accomplishments is he was, I think, the first to ring all the bells to peals over 40 hundredweights. And holds the record for having rung the most peals on all the heavy bells in the UK. Wow. So that's something. But perhaps I'll add one more thing to that. The thing that's perhaps most important about what Mark's done is he created a teaching centre at Worcester, which has allowed new 12-bell ringers and new ringers to come through in a way that had never been seen in the UK before. And Mark was behind that and is very much involved in the teaching development. So anyway, Mark, thank you, and I'll leave it over to you.
Thank you, and thank you for your really warm welcome. It's great to be back. Some of you know my family, and my sons who ring said Stuart invited the wrong Regan to God contest. But what's been great about today is it's quite clear we're all part of an international ringing community, and I think that's so important. And it's not just the world is small and we've got YouTube and Facebook, it's that we can all ring together anywhere in the world. So thank you, and thank you for the buzz, the hospitality, and greetings from all my colleagues in Worcester Cathedral, that many of you will know. And please, if you find yourself near Worcester, come and see us. The teaching centre's easy. The bells are the hardest ring of bells in the world. But they're also the best, and I'm totally biased. Best.
Second.
Best.
Old
Right.
North are the best.
Your contest. And bell ringing. Now, Stuart gave me some judging rules. I'm going to ignore them completely. Because I'm a natural rule breaker. But I want to talk about ringing in general, actually, from a different perspective before I talk about each team's performance. And I use the word performance quite purposefully. We ring in a bubble. Stone walls protect us from elements. We ring in a small team, and we only actually analyse our ringing from within the rope circle. They're probably totally unaware that thousands of people listen to what we do. Now just imagine you're at the Kennedy Centre or Madison Square Gardens or the Royal Albert Hall in London. You've got 8 bell ropes hanging down and an audience of thousands. It suddenly gets a bit scary, doesn't it? Now, an audience will come and pay to hear you perform, but our audience get no choice. They don't pay, and it's free. But I think the sound of church bells, obviously originating in the UK 400 years ago, and now transplanted round the world, is part of the fabric of our communities. Church bells tell everyone there is a church at the heart of their community, where the external noise, where the external performers, the external orchestra. Now, if you perform in an orchestra, now how many of you have done that, played in an orchestra? You analyse your performance from within, don't you? And then we, the audience, analyse it from without. So what I'm going to do is analyse it from without.
They also pay.
Yeah. So, let's look at it this way. Church bells are the biggest and loudest musical instruments.
Yep.
They're the only instruments you perform on you can't see. You control them to split-second accuracy through a long piece of string going through a small hole in the seam. Now, you explain that to orchestral lovies and they think you're mad. So, and something else which is controversial is, most of you have used Able, haven't you? It's a great teaching tool. No. Well, if you hear perfect Able ringing, it is totally boring.
Yep.
So perfect striking, I think, is totally boring.
Yep.
So how do we define style? Now, if you give 8 teams, eight different teams, the same piece of music on the same instruments, they'll all perform it differently, won't they? And that's the great thing about being human beings, about how we do stuff. So I'm not going to judge the ringing in a punitive sense, saying this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong. I'm going to give you marks out of 100. Now, I've come up with a complex piece of maths and a complex piece of algebra and a complex algorithm to come to this, and I made it up. And I will give you feedback on the ringing, and also Quilla's asked me for some notes and everything, which I'll give you. And I sit back and listen, and the questions that I ask, would I want to be in this? No. Would I like to listen to it? And that's different again, isn't it? And finally, was it brave?
Yes.
Brave or brave?
Brave.
Oh, I thought it was grave.
That would be grim. No, I think being brave, I would say being ballsy, being English, is very important. Now, I understand that for a lot of you, it was the first time you at the cathedral.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. Well
Now, I think it's quite an intimidating place to ring, not only because of where it is. You've got all that space behind you. If you're agoraphobic, that's quite tricky. You ring up on that raised platform, It's a big noise, and the ropes are a bit flighty, I think, the front bells. I find that. Yeah. So that's a challenge. Now, when we ring in contests in the UK, we've probably been to all our churches before. Tim will know that especially. We've been to all these places. We know the bells. So it's a bit like you used to drive in one car, and then you have to go in another car straight away and drive on the freeway. And you have to perform in front of thousands of people. So the pressure's up. And if the pressure isn't up, ringing isn't worth doing. Now, do you want me to do 6 or 8 bell teams first?
Your choice.
Right, I'll do 6 first. I'm breaking rules here. I'm going to do them in reverse order, and I'll give you a percentage. And
you give us the place the order in which they rang. So
I'm doing them in reverse order, and I'll say it was the team that rang 6th. Is that okay?
Yep.
So I'm going to talk about the team that rang 6th today. And that's ringing on the front 6.
So this was the Washington Why Nots.
And I'm glad you did. The ringing was very nervous.
Hey.
One thing I will say is ring rounds a bit longer before you start the call changes. Take the time to settle down and make good use of the practice. Say to everyone, use your practice time at the very last second. It was very determined, because actually it could quite easily have fallen to pieces. I'll be brutally honest. It didn't. And that's what I mean by brave. You're under pressure. You've got this awkward old bugger from the United Kingdom listening to you. The speeds are a bit different, and one thing I think you'll get with more experience is you'll learn to ring together more. And the speed starts with the treble, the second starts the interval, and the tenor will set the beat. And there are times when you got into that, and times when you get out of it, but as the touch, you had moments that go, oh yeah, you're there, and moments when it wasn't quite there. But I was really encouraged by this. You kept going, and things to do next time, yeah, work at the speed, and ring the backstrokes the same speed as the hand strokes, and breathe. I thought there was a distinct lack of oxygen in some of the band. Right, so that team was placed out of the 6 12 teams 4th, because there were 4 teams, okay? And that's not, and I'm giving a percentage of 40 there, okay? And that's 40 out of sheer determination. Right, team that rang 5th, and that was call changes again. This team had a very good beat.
So this would be
wait,
no. Well, I think it's good. Then people can get the criticisms and the information. So this was the New York. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. Did you say?
Yeah.
This is
the rank 5.
The New York Sixers.
New York Sixers, right?
Yep.
If I'm going to call them faults, most of the faults occurred at backstroke because you're ringing at different speeds. Now the way to get around that is with a stopwatch on your phone is time your hand strokes and backstrokes, because the gap between bells is only a 25th of a second. 10 bells turn over in 2.5 seconds. So think of it, just think of the maths. And then time it. And then say, right, and have the courage to hold them up. And when you pull off, have the confidence to know you can set your bell at backstroke if you have to. Or pray. You're in a church, good place. Yeah. It was all there. It was all different speeds, and the thing that caused the hiccups was when the call change was made. You know, 4 after 5, it took a while to settle down. So the 5 has to drive in, the 4th has to hold up. So practice that. Just practice swapping the pairs over. And I gave that to 53%. Gosh. Right. The team that ran first.
The Jammy Dodgers.
You've got great names for these. It's where Worcester Cathedral, no? Right. Front 6, again, call changes. What I liked about this team, I congratulate the person who rang the treble. That was really smart leading.
Who was that?
Hey!
And I said about be brave, when sometimes the changes did this, you stuck to where the treble should be. Now, sometimes when you're ringing, if someone's a bit quick, you can go diving after them. If someone's slow, you wait for them, don't. You go where you are in the beat. But that's the courage, that's the braveness, so well done. Good speed. I thought slightly nervous, if I'm honest, but it got less so as the touch progressed. It got better all the time. What happened was the changes just drifted a little bit. They got slightly slower, slightly quicker, but the treble was always there. So your clips actually weren't clips, and your gaps weren't gaps. So that's what I mean about having the confidence in where my bell is or where my bell should be. And that's why playing with able's okay up to a point. There's nothing like doing it on the real thing. So good ringing. And finally, I gave that was 59%. And the team that won the 6-bell ringing was the team that ranked 3rd.
Rest of us.
Hey!
Scratch band assembled.
Although you broke the rules, I'm going to ignore that because I'm breaking loads of them. You rang stem and doubles. Oh, brave. Very brave.
We were going to ring all the back six, but we decided
very good start. The rounds, I thought, whoa. When you're to changes, you got to the 3rd, 6th, starting to get a bit drifty. And it was interesting listening to practice. I know you shouldn't judge the practice, but you could tell a lot by the quality of the rounds. And you could tell a lot by how the practice was used. It was good. You did have a trip, and you almost got out of it, then you almost didn't, you almost did, and then you stopped.
that's just like ringing a peal, you know.
Yeah, that was the wise choice. And a good restart, because that could have easily floored you. People listening, thousands of people in Washington listening. Good restart. I would have liked it to have been a little bit faster. Now, I'm not sure whether that's the rope circle. It's big, you're ringing the front 6 for 10, so they're not hungers of 6, they're hungers of the front 6 for 10, but a little bit more oomph. Now, otherwise, it gets a bit ableish. You probably gathered I don't like people. So, breaking the rules doesn't matter. I'm giving you 65%, so you are the winners of
Paul was the captain of said team.
Yes.
There we go.
Wait.
Present that to Paul, and we can have a photograph taken by photographers.
Although the lights are quite bad.
Use the flash.
Team photo. Oh, come on. Team
Are we doing it?
Yeah, get the whole team up there. And we may be live, but don't worry, nobody's watching.
Can you like really squeeze it?
Do this.
Perfect, Michael.
You don't see the camera can't see you.
That's blurry.
I don't think you need a flash. Okay, so that's
It's a very nice handshake, Mark.
good. Well done.
I don't know worries.
We started faster and slowed up with changes. We could come to time.
Right, let's go. Hey, let's hear the rest.
Morning meeting left.
Oh no. Right. The 8-bell competition.
You're not.
Stuart's alluded to the fact that I like heavy bell ringing, and you've got the front 8. I know there may have been reasons, but I was, especially with the team, this is the team, I'm talking about team 4.
Who was the New York heavyweights? Team 4?
Yeah, you're ringing the back 8, so I thought, great, it's good to hear them. Again, you're ringing the back 8 for 10, so the hanging geometry will affect how the bells are to handle. You really have to hold the trebles up the backstroke. And they think, oh, I've got to keep going, but you have to have the confidence to wait. The ringing sort of did this a little bit, got quicker and slower, just a tiny bit. There was a trip, which was recovered just before Queen's. There were a lot of different speeds in the ringing. So I would say almost there. And that's where you sort of practice, you ring it, you stop, you start again, you stop. So good to listen to. And there were, I put here, occasional bursts of very good ringing. So whoever that was, you bursted. So I'm giving that 68%.
It's passing.
So this is team 2.
WRS 18s.
1-8.
1-8.
Right. Very confident ringing. When you went into changes, front, you had a front 4 and a back 4. And so when the front 4 together was fine, back 4 together was fine. When you got mixed up, that's when the faults occurred. Occasional hiccups, but you always recovered. And that's a key thing in ringing. I've got to get forward. I've got to go forward. You think about what you've done wrong, you'll go wrong again, won't you? So put it behind you. You can't change history. Tenor ringing was very good. Overall, very good, confident. But I did say here, why not ring the back 8? So I leave that question hanging in the air like a brick. And I gave that team 71%. So team 7.
That's the Gudgeon Curmudgeons. Gudgeon Curmudgeons.
Right. Front 8 again. Very good use of the practice. Stopping and starting. I think you rang plain hunt and then grand triple, did a lot of different things. Good ringing, confident. Few bells falling over each other this time, and a great finish actually. This touch got better. And obviously you know you've come second. If you'd have rung like you did at the end, you'd have won. So I'm not saying that, so that's to say you can do it. Okay? So is that sort of, you get through the nerves, the last 50 changes are really good. So it's team 7, and that's 73%. And so the winners are team 8, so you kept me waiting.
Washington Cathedral.
Hey!
This is when you sit back, put the pencil down and think, I think they've rung here before. There's a great thing that when we judge the 12 bell competition, that the security is enormous, even the judges. And you say, that's Birmingham, that's this, you know. And I'm not local, but I knew. This was good to listen to. Again, it was confident. Occasional drop back strokes. A little bit of clipping. And of course, the better the ringing is, the more you notice the clips. So when you aspire to really good ringing, actually it gets harder, and you should be harder on yourselves as a team to make it better. I put the pencil down, I just listened, and I would say this ringing has some style. Okay, and that's, oh yeah, wow. So if I'm walking past as a member of the public, and the public can tell the difference between good ringing and bad ringing. When we had the 12-bell contest at Worcester, we had all the top visiting bands come. My colleague said, they're a lot better than you are on Sunday nights. And I thought, yeah, you're right, they are. Yes, so that's fine. So yeah, I loved it. But I gave that team 81%. Now, what this crazy algorithm of mine means is up to you to interpret. But please be assured that the gap between, I'm going to call it first and last crudely, is not big. It's not big at all. It's all about an effort to learn from others, to be coached by those who you know are good ringers, and have the confidence to just go for it. If you don't go for it, nothing will happen. So congratulations to Washington Cathedral.
Or Rick, get Rick up here.
Thank you. Handshake.
Oh, wait, we can.
Keep shaking hands. Keep shaking hands.
Stop moving. Stop moving.
Okay, stop moving.
Look normal, Rick. Excellent.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm not sure what I've just done here.
And there is one more. There's one more prize and one more competition, which I described in the emails as being a competition for the best stringing of the day, but I've left it to our judge to decide how he thinks he'd like to distribute that. So, Mark.
Right, I'm breaking the rules. The fact when I heard that many of you hadn't rung here before and there were a lot of new ringers in it, I thought, wow, that's fantastic. Because you always know when you've got a strong local band, you know their bells, there will be a winner. But I was really impressed with the why nots.
Woohoo! Yeah!
Because you kept it going. And that is brave. And there's only one way you can go from there, is better, isn't it? Yes, and that equally applies to the winners. You can only get better for the winners too. So everything we do as a public performance should be aspirational, not only for the public outside, but the people with whom we ring. So who's the captain of the Why Nots?
Jane.
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 Yeah, you've got to do the handshake bit. Congratulations. There you go.
Well done.
Take it and drink
Well
it.
done.
That band.
Now, thank you.
Three of them, all these really mean coaching was a lot of them.
Wow.
Mark, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Something to remind you of your trip to Washington.
thank you.
Hopefully, it was a pleasant experience. Thank you again. Thank you everybody for participating. A fantastic weekend already. Dinner is, I believe, they're ready to serve us. Unfortunately, we are split between two floors, but you know, sit wherever you'd like. We've got a 3-course dinner ahead of us. There's an open bar. Please enjoy yourselves, and thank you for coming. Thank you, guys.
And I'd like to make one last announcement. The Washington Post covered it, and it should be on the paper in the paper tomorrow. I've already got a link that we could post somewhere. People can see it.
Can I just say something? Right? I told my daughter I was interviewed by the Post. She said, "Fake news, Dad."
Tune in to the 11 o'clock news. WUSA 9 is supposed to run at 11, and it was already. I have a link to the story for the radio that already broadcast. Mary Clark's friend called her to let her know that she heard Mary on the line. And as we get more links, we'll post them where?
We can put them on our Facebook, and I can distribute them through the email list as well.
Thank you. Can you put something on the next site?
I think, did you put it on the NAG site already, Alex?
Say again?
Did you put it on the NAG site, the link to the YouTube?
Yes, it is. So we'll post everything to the NAG as well. I think that makes good sense.
Right,
Right, is that it?
Great. To the tables. Woo.